I just returned from the EPCOT International Flower and Garden Festival held in Orlando, Florida every year. So I just wanted to share my experience with that festival and show you some beautiful pictures and videos I took along the way. This festival goes on every single year at EPCOT. This year it started February 28th and it goes to May 27th in 2024, but every year it's around the same time. It's a great time to visit EPCOT and just experience this beautiful flower and garden festival while you're also experiencing all the other great things that EPCOT has to offer. So during this festival, there was over 70 Disney character topiaries that are mixed in among the 100 or so that they already have. There was 25 themed gardens throughout the World Showcase. There was 200 absolutely amazing mini floating gardens in the waters along the bridge there right when you walk in. I'm going to do a slideshow collage of all the videos and photos that I took. And at the end of this, I'm also going to go through some of my favorite photos and some of the implementable things that I saw at the festival that I might be trying in my own home garden, and you could probably try at home too. So make sure you stick around to the end, and let's get right into these beautiful festival photos and videos. Okay, so I really hope you enjoyed getting just a taste of what the EPCOT International Flower and Garden Festival is all about. There was also some really cool, like, unique kids things to do. My favorite one was Spike's Pollen Nation Exploration, where you could buy a little card and you could have your kids go through the entire World Showcase hunting for Disney's favorite honeybee, Spike. And he was pollinating his way around the festival. And around Easter time, they also have an Egg-stravaganza Scavenger Hunt where kids can go through the park and hunt for Easter eggs. So that's really fun too. In addition to this being a beautiful international flower and garden festival, it's also a food festival. So in all of the different countries throughout EPCOT, they had some specialty drinks and specialty foods in each of the countries, but also they had an entire stand for like honey related items and unique things like that. So it was a really, really fun experience. If you like the style of video and you want to see more, please leave a comment below and let me know, because I do travel quite a bit to see different kinds of gardens and I love to share those with you and share all of the photos that I take. So if this is something that you like, let me know below. And I just want to go over first some of my favorite topiaries and just some other ideas I saw that I thought might be implementable at home, and just to give you some more ideas. So my favorite topiary, I think, was the pandas in China. I just loved how playful they were, and then the backdrop, it just made like such an amazing photo. So that was definitely one of my favorites. And here we have Woody with Bo Peep and her sheep, and specifically, I just love the sheep. This was near the Imagination area if you're planning on going, but I just loved the sheep. I thought that was a really unique and simple idea for a topiary, and something that you could definitely do at home and just make something small, even like a dog or a cat or something like that, and just use some beautiful foliage grasses. So this was a really, really just pretty and nice, and I love the complementary colors with the greens and the reds. So next we have Pumbaa and Timon, and this was in World Nature, and I just loved how tropical this felt, and it just felt like such a great setting. Again, I loved the greens with the reds and like the magentas and stuff. I thought it really popped, but it was just really pretty. I loved how every piece of Pumbaa was completely covered in some kind of flower or plant material, and God, how can you not love that? I love Pumbaa. And here we have TikTok Croc. This was by Peter Pan and Captain Hook, and it was kind of in between Canada and the UK. But again, another just beautiful, beautiful topiary. I love how he kind of dips into the garden and then his tail sticks out on the other side. But that was really unique. Even his eyes were covered in plant material, and I think the only thing that wasn't covered was his teeth. And I just loved that. And I loved almost how the flowers that in the bed that he's sitting in almost felt like water because they were so blue and beautiful. And here we have Tiana, and this was in the American Adventure. Not specifically talking about the topiary here, but like the archway kind of behind her, I thought was just so lovely and gorgeous. Obviously, you can get these types of like circular archways online or even at garden centers and things like that. What it actually reminded me of is when I was a kid, we had a wood burning fireplace, and we had these circular structures that we would stack the firewood in near the fireplace, and I always had to fill those as a kid. So I'm like, oh, I wish that we still had those laying around. I would definitely do something like this with just plant material hanging off of it. Even if you wanted to use it as a trellis to do a climbing vine or something like that, I think it would be cool. But this was just neat how it was sort of like draping, almost like a curtain behind her. It made for spectacular photos, first of all, and it was just so beautiful. If anybody knows what this plant is, please let me know in the comments, but I think that they were just loosely tied on. I don't think they were actually growing the plants like on the trellis or anything like that, but I thought it was pretty awesome. And this, I don't think was specific to the Flower and Garden Festival. I think it's just the way that EPCOT typically landscapes, but they had all of these beautiful ground covers. And I think when people think about ground covers, they really get nervous because the plants might spread and be aggressive. But, you know, if you're trying to cover a lot of ground, they do need to spread. This particular picture I really liked because they were mixing different types of ground covers together. And when you do that, it can just be really lovely. Even if you don't have plants in that bed, you could just have really low growing like sections of plants, and you can do a lot of really interesting things with that. I thought this was absolutely beautiful and a great use of all different kinds of ground covers in a pattern of some kind. And they did this all throughout the park. It wasn't just in this area, but I really love that. And I try to mix my ground covers at home, but this really gave me some more ideas of how to mix different textures and colors together. And of course, the floating planters, there's over 200 of these throughout all of the waterways in Epcot. And I just stood there probably for a half an hour just watching. I think I had the perfect conditions for going to Epcot too. The lighting was absolutely perfect. Just a pro tip, if you want to take pictures, the best time to do that in your garden is when it's overcast or right after it rains or something like that. The lighting is just amazing. Much better than when it's sunny out. You want that shade so you can get the even lighting, and I just got some beautiful reflections on these. And I wish that I had some kind of water feature or something to display a floating garden, but maybe if you do, you can try it and send me pictures, because I think it's just absolutely beautiful. And this was another cool idea. Again, I don't know if it's specific to the Flower and Garden Festival. Obviously, they were doing this too when you walked over the bridge to the World Showcase. There was like huge displays, but I just loved like the little silhouette of Mickey Mouse. And I thought this is something like even on a small scale you could implement at home, where you would do a shape and plant inside of that shape, whatever that shape may be, and then plant something else on the outside of it, and just make like an interesting focal point in your own landscape with a shape like the Mickey Mouse ears. Maybe not Mickey Mouse ears for you, but let me know in the comments below if you want to try this one. The next up was basically all of the conceptual gardens were amazing here. This one was a PB&J garden by Smuckers, and this was also on that bridge to the World Showcase. So if you looked beyond this, you would see all those floating planters. But it really reminded me, I have a friend, Lisa Nunemaker, over at Paper Garden Workshop. I'm going to leave a link in the description below, because she has an ebook that talks all about, it's a free ebook, and it's all about how to create themed gardens and the process that she goes through for creating a theme garden. And the example that she uses in that entire ebook is a peanut butter and jelly garden. So I thought this was so perfect. I took a bunch of pictures for her, but I'll definitely link her up below. There's a lot you can learn from Lisa as well. And this was just incredible. They had different areas where they were growing nuts and they were growing grapes, and they were doing like the color theming was definitely like the strawberry and the jelly and all that. I just loved this. I thought it was so creative and unique. This one too, I had some videos in the montage that you just watched, but this is called Shishi Odoshi. I think I'm saying it correctly, but it basically translates into scare deer. It's a big water feature, and as the water drips into the bamboo or the wooden pieces, it'll tip them, and then they bang off of like metal cans and things like that. So it's just making noise in the garden to scare the deer away. There's also, as you can see in the background of this photo, there's like wind chimes and different kinds of symbols and things like that. And it wasn't really annoyingly loud or anything like that. Your neighbors might be a little upset about it, but I just thought I'd share this because I thought it was a really creative way used to scare the deer off. And other animals too. I guess it will spook other animals as well, but really creative, really interesting to watch. I stood there for a while as the things were tipping and filling with water, and just sort of, it was just really fun to see. And it would be great if you were doing some kind of like a Japanese inspired garden or something like that. Again, this is another one that isn't specific to the Flower and Garden Festival, but these are rolling privacy barriers that they use at Epcot. So there was one area of the park that they were blocking the walkway for whatever reason, and I just thought these were so clever. Just a big planter and then putting evergreens inside the planter. It gives you that extra height because you have the planter box, so you don't have to buy like extra super 12-foot tall plants to fill these. And with the casters on the bottom, you could actually move them and roll them as you needed. So I just wanted to share this. When I walked by the one time, these were there, and then I came by later in the day and they were actually removed, and they just had them lined up along the side, and they still looked really nice. So I thought this was a really great idea for temporary privacy or privacy that you want to move around your landscape. So definitely let me know if you're going to give that one a try. And here we had a Shakespeare garden, and this was so lovely. They had all kinds of quotes and things inside the garden, and they were really trying to portray Shakespeare and A Midsummer Night's Dream. So I took all these pictures of the different plaques and like the gardening quotes, and they had little signs next to all the plants and like what that plant like signified, or like what it meant, like what a poppy meant and like what this meant, and all of different Shakespeare plays and all of that. So I thought this was really, really cool, and something that I'm definitely going to go back to and just sort of explore it a bit more through the photos that I took. And I absolutely loved this English tea garden by Twinings. What I loved the most was the planters were these teacups with saucers in them. I thought that was so creative. And inside of each container, they had, this one was peach and white tea, but they had different ones. Here's another one that was lemongrass and peppermint. So they'd have a sign that told you exactly what they were growing inside of the container. And I just loved the containers so much. But even if you weren't going to do teacup containers, I think that this garden, let me go back to this other picture because it kind of shows it better, but you can see how they're raised up like on a pedestal. So I think that's another great idea for a home garden. If you have a lower growing garden bed and you build sort of a pedestal and you put containers on top of that, it can create a really nice flow and some nice focal points in your gardens. And if you love tea, you should definitely give this a try and send me some pictures because I think it's just absolutely adorable. And last but not least were these stacked container planters that were all over the park. So they were behind this one topiary in this picture, and they were lining the walkways everywhere. At first I thought they were a climbing vine, and I was like, what vine is that? Like, that's incredible. But it's actually containers that are stacked, and they get like a little bit wider as they go. And I think they just filled the outsides with soil and planted some annuals in there. So I think this is definitely something that I might try at home, and that you can try at home, where even just impatiens or petunias or something like that, you could have a really tall focal point in your landscape just by stacking these towers up a little bit. I'd love to hear from you what your favorite part of this festival was, or if you've ever gone before, if you're planning on going, let me know. And I'm going to leave another video for you to watch right here, and I'll see you over in that next one.